Welcome back, Virgo. Uh, you already know something is wrong. You've known for a while. You just haven't let yourself say it out loud yet. So, this one is different. There's no ease in what I'm about to share, no warmth to soften the edges of it. Just something that needs to be said clearly to someone who may need to hear it more than they need to be comforted right now. So if you're here, stay, not because this will be pleasant, because it may be necessary. Um, there is a person in your life who takes up more space than they have been given. Not loudly, not in the obvious, visible way that makes the danger easy to name and easy to act on. In the other way, the quiet way, the way that looks from the outside like closeness, like intimacy, even, but that feels from the inside like something is being slowly, carefully, methodically taken from you. Not all at once, never all at once. A small piece here, a boundary softened there. A version of yourself misplaced somewhere in the course of this connection that you have been searching for without quite knowing you lost it. And you have been explaining it away, making it reasonable, finding the generous interpretation again and again with the particular exhaustion of someone who has been working very hard to see something in the most favorable possible light, because the unfavorable light, if you allowed yourself to stand in it fully, would require something of you that you are not yet sure you are ready to do. Let me be careful here, because careful is what this moment requires. I cannot tell you with certainty what this person's intentions are. I cannot see inside their mind or map the architecture of what they want from you or give you the clean, definitive verdict that the part of you sitting in confusion right now is desperately seeking. What I can do is describe what dangerous dynamics feel like from the inside and ask you to sit honestly and without flinching with how much of the description lands somewhere familiar. This reflection invites you to consider when you are with this person or after you have been with them. Do you feel more like yourself or less? And when did you stop noticing the difference? Because that question, simple as it sounds, is one of the most reliable instruments available to a person trying to assess whether a connection is safe, not whether it is exciting, not whether it is intense, not whether the good moments are good enough to justify the cost of the other moments. Whether in the presence of this person you expand or contract, whether the version of you that exists around them is fuller or smaller than the version that exists elsewhere, whether your instincts, the ones that have been quietly, persistently, uncomfortably active in the presence of this person, are trying to tell you something that the part of you invested in this connection has been working overtime to override. Dangerous people rarely announce themselves. That is the first and most important thing to understand about them. They do not arrive with visible warning signs, with the obvious markers of threat that would make the danger easy to identify and easy to respond to. They arrive with warmth, with attention, with the specific intoxicating quality of someone who seems, in the early days, in the honeymoon of the connection, to see you more clearly, more fully, more generously than anyone has seen you before. And that seeing feels like a gift. It feels like relief. It feels like finally, after so much effort, after so much of being only partially received, being met by something that understands what you carry and wants to be close to it. But there is a difference between being seen and being studied, between being loved and being managed, between someone who is close to you because your presence genuinely nourishes them and someone who is close to you because your presence, your warmth, your generosity, your capacity for loyalty, your willingness to extend the benefit of the doubt past the point where the doubt has been conclusively earned serves a purpose that has very little to do with your well being and everything to do with what you can be made to provide. Uh, that difference is not always visible in the early days. It becomes visible over time in the pattern, in the way that certain conversations always seem to end with you feeling smaller than when they started, in the way that your needs, when you attempt to express them, have a habit of becoming, through some conversational alchemy you can never quite trace, about their needs instead. In the way that your confidence in your own perception, your own judgment, your own right to feel what you feel without having it reframed into something more convenient has been quietly, incrementally eroding. This reflection invites you to consider, what has this person consistently done when you have tried to name something that wasn't working for you, and has the pattern of their response left you feeling heard or left you feeling like the problem? Because that pattern is everything. A single instance of being made to feel like the problem when you raised a legitimate concern is survivable. People are imperfect. Communication is hard. Grace is warranted. A pattern of it is information. A consistent, reliable, predictable pattern of your concerns being deflected, minimized, turned back on you, or used as evidence of your own emotional insufficiency, that is not a communication style. That is a dynamic. And dynamics, unlike individual moments, are not accidental. They are built, maintained, sometimes deliberately, sometimes not, but always, in either case, serving someone's interests. And the question worth sitting with, honestly and without flinching, is whose. Some of you watching this have been carrying a knowledge you haven't been willing to fully hold, a sense felt in the body in the specific way that danger is felt before it is understood that something in this connection is not what it presents itself as. That the warmth has conditions attached that were never disclosed, that the closeness has a cost that is being extracted slowly enough that the accounting is difficult to do in real time, that the person you are when you are around this individual is a person you don't entirely recognize, more careful, more small, more focused on managing their reactions than on honoring your own truth. That knowledge is not paranoia. It is not the anxious construction of a person who creates danger where none exists. It is the entirely reliable intelligence of a nervous system that has been registering something real and has been, for reasons that make complete sense, love, history, a fear of what naming it would require repeatedly overridden by the part of you that wanted the connection to be safe, that needed it to be safe. That has been working harder and harder to find the generous interpretation, because the alternative is a disruption of such magnitude that the mind keeps turning away from it before it can land fully. This reflection invites you to consider, what would you tell a person you loved if they describe to you exactly what you have been experiencing in this connection, and why are you offering yourself less protection than you would offer them? Because that gap between the clarity you can access on behalf of people you love and the confusion you inhabit on your own behalf is not a coincidence. It is the precise gap that certain kinds of danger create and maintain. The fog that settles around a person's own situation, making the thing that would be obvious from the outside impossible to see clearly from the inside. And the fog is not weakness, it is not stupidity. It is the entirely predictable result of being inside something that has been, with varying degrees of intention, designed to make you doubt the reliability of your own perception. Your perception is reliable. What you have been sensing in the stomach, in the chest, in the specific place where the body holds what the mind is not yet ready to name, is not distortion. It is data. It has been data all along. And the part of you that kept overriding it was not wrong to try. It was trying to protect something it valued. But protection of a connection at the cost of protection of yourself is not a trade that serves you. It has never been a trade that served you. And the question now, the urgent, important, cannot be deferred any longer question, is what you are going to do with what you already know. This reflection invites you to consider not what you feel for this person, not what the history of this connection contains, not what ending or changing it would cost, but simply this: what does your gut, your body, the most unmediated and unmanaged part of your knowing, tell you about whether this person is safe? Be careful. Not with the performative caution of someone managing their emotions at a distance, with the real thing, the grounded, clear eyed, honest caution of someone who has decided quietly, firmly, without drama, to take their own perception seriously, to stop explaining away the pattern, to stop finding the generous interpretation when the generous interpretation has been proven wrong enough times to no longer deserve the effort of construction, to allow what they know to actually inform how they move. Careful does not always mean ending. It does not always mean dramatic confrontation or immediate departure or any of the high stakes, high cost actions that the fear of overreacting tends to hold over a person's head as a reason to stay small. Sometimes careful means slowing down, creating more distance gradually without announcement, reclaiming pieces of yourself, your time, your energy, your emotional availability from a dynamic that has been drawing on them without adequate return. Watching with clear eyes and no expectation of a particular outcome, whether the behavior changes when the dynamic shifts, whether the warmth survives the reduction of your total availability, whether the connection can exist without the specific conditions, your endless generosity, your willingness to override your own perception, your investment in seeing the best that have been sustaining it. The power is yours. It always has been. Not the power to change what this person is or to make the connection into something it may not be capable of being, but the power to protect yourself, to take your own knowing seriously, to move slowly, firmly, with full respect for the complexity of what this is in the direction of your own safety, even when that direction is hard. even when it requires leaving something behind that you wanted genuinely and deeply to be different than it is. Urgent danger. Be very careful with this person, or it will be the end. Not eventually, the erosion is already happening in the slow and quiet and very deliberate way that certain kinds of damage happen beneath the surface of what looks from the outside like an ordinary connection. The end it is heading toward is not dramatic. It is the end of the version of yourself that existed before this connection began, the one with the intact boundaries, the reliable instincts, the comfortable relationship with their own perception. That version is worth protecting more than the connection, more than the peace of not having to act on what you know, more than anything this dynamic has been offering in return for the cost of keeping it. Trust yourself with this. The thing you've been sensing was never wrong. You were simply hoping with everything you had that it was, and now the hoping has run its course, and what remains clear, uncomfortable, and entirely actionable is the truth you were always already carrying. Before you go, I want to hear from you in the comments. Has there been a person in your life who made you feel smaller over time rather than larger? And at what point did you allow yourself to name what was happening? And what is the one thing that has been making it hardest to trust your own perception in this situation? And what would it look like to start taking that perception seriously today without waiting for more proof? Drop it below. I read every word, and nothing shared here goes unacknowledged. See you in the next one. And listen, your gut has not been lying to you. It has been waiting patiently and at some cost for you to finally stop asking it to be wrong. Take care.